All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully, it was easy to find the stream. I did change the thumbnail and the title. I do that every month or so. Let's go over the CPI data real quick. Let me take a look here. CPI month over month, 0.1 over 0.2. CPI at negative 0.1 over 0.1, and then year over year at 3% at expecting 3.1. So overall, it was a little low. Unemployment 222 over 236, so also low. Overall, not really seeing a major reaction from the dollar. Not very typical of a CPI day. Typically, you have a much larger reaction. It is coming down a little bit. It's down about 0.4 to 0.5. ES had a big spike on the CPI announcement, but then it retraced pretty much the entire move. So kind of back to where the CPI started. CPI move started around 82, which they are protecting. So hopefully you guys watched that that new Addis video. So here's one of those clusters that we talked about. They had a lot of bearish delta on that low after the CPI, and they are currently protecting that level. So if we look back before that level, we had a lot of bullish delta in that cluster right there. So bullish cluster, bearish absorption. And then on the high, they put in a lot of delta on this little cluster right here, and then they kind of fell off above that. Not really a whole lot of bullish delta above that level. So a little bit of trapped buyers around that 5,700 to 96 area. But overall, not terrible. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. I'll grab the trade plan for you. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Omar, Aquarius, Leo, Morris, Ty, Fury, Ken, Bus, Fatal, Music, Andrew, Techie, Roger, AT, Scott, Gavin. Good morning, Ronaldo, Zacharias, Vu, Griso. Good morning, Trevor. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Fernando. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Daryl. Mazad, Rick, Jack. Good morning, John. Good morning, Denise. Good morning, David. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Yusa. Hey, Yusa, you actually won the raffle and you haven't responded to my email, so check your emails. Good morning, Ike. Appreciate all the members in here. Omar, Fatal, Techie, AT, Fernando, David. Good morning to all the Discord members as well. Thank you guys for supporting the community. Appreciate all the love on that new video. The new video is doing really good. It had, it was 1 out of 10, which YouTube tells you how your videos do compared to your last like 10 releases. It's doing better than all of them, so I appreciate all the support on that video. The incomplete auction video was 1 out of 10, and then this one's 1 out of 10 as well. So I appreciate all the support, guys. A new video coming out tomorrow as well. Yeah, use it, no problem. I can resend it. Appreciate that, Sam. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Sam. Good morning, Blood. Good morning, Fatal. Not sure if I saw you earlier. Very slow day for a CPI day. You like the new thumbnail, John? Yeah, I try to change it up every month or so. I hate when they all just look the same. I'm not a graphic designer, so I try my best. Got to help out the YouTube algorithm as much as you can. Yeah, I think the footprint bars look a lot better for sure. I still like the 5-minute bars. I think the 5-minute bars are fine. The 30-minute bars were a little bit hard to read. Yeah, there is a POC there. It's just not highlighted that well. It's highlighted with a border. It doesn't let me color the highlight because it's a secondary footprint. So I have two footprints. It doesn't let you color the bar on the second one unless I just can't find the setting. Because it only lets you do border color. I can make the border thicker. I don't think that actually helps though. Is it this one? Yeah, I can't tell if it's actually helping. So we are paying attention to two levels right now. We've got a bearish cluster that's kind of trapped around 80 to 82. And we have this really big bullish cluster that's kind of trapped around the high 90s. Good morning, Tamer. Yeah, I don't care about the value areas on the 30-minute candles. We don't look at the value areas, just the volume nodes. We're watching the value areas of the entire volume profile, not the candles. I think that over complicates it. Yeah, we're seeing a complete discrepancy on NQ and Nasdaq. NQ delta is straight down since the CPI. The ES delta is holding up. It's actually higher. Little strange. With the CPI reading that we got today, it should have been bullish. It should have been holding up. It was bullish when it first came out. It's just not really holding. If you look at Russell, Russell had a hell of a reaction to the CPI. Starting to come down a little bit, but it was up quite a bit when it came out. Yeah, I think it was kind of priced in yesterday, to be honest. And we talked about this in Discord, if you guys were in Discord around the close. The closing delta yesterday was one of the highest numbers I've ever seen. They closed with over 50,000 positive delta yesterday. And that was after that really big push up into the close. So I think that's why we're not going up. I think it priced it in yesterday. Okay, we're seeing the same thing we talked about in the video. We have those kind of trapped bearish clusters on the low. We want to see how they respond to this level right here. Even though it seems pretty slow today, you do have to be careful. The ATR is pretty high. About 5 to 6 points. Ken, that's the one that I made. If you type in ATR improved, it comes up on TradingView. Or it should come up. You can see the upper tail is falling off here. They're not building up too much value. They are trying to build this node right here. A little bit of a node at 90. They're not doing a good job protecting it. See, they keep letting price go below that node. This was something that was really hard to teach in that video we released, because I can't really teach how to read when nodes are building up and when they're being protected, because that happens live, right? You can't really teach that in hindsight. But we talk about it every single day on stream, so if you haven't figured that out already, you'll figure it out pretty soon. Bouncing off VWAP, bouncing off the 24. Nasty rejection on NQ. NQ is still looking pretty bearish compared to ES. Let me take a look at the big companies here. Looks like Apple's selling off quite a bit. Nvidia sold off, bounced back into VWAP, failing VWAP. Microsoft failing VWAP. Yeah, Nvidia looks pretty, or Nasdaq, excuse me, looks pretty weak. Yeah, looking pretty bearish on this candle here. Look at the delta. Very consistent bearish delta throughout the candle. Keep an eye on this double bottom. If they bounce, they need to protect these clusters, especially the cluster around 80 to 81. They're trying to trap a little bit of bearish delta on the low, but they are protecting the bounce so far. Look at the difference in ES and Nasdaq here. Very consistent red. Very consistent green on ES. Morning, Brian. Looks like a little weird bulldog on the 1 minute ES. They're acting like they want to retest this cluster here. That CPI node. Morning, Lewis, excuse me. Good morning, Bray. Appreciate you guys being here. National Slurpee Day. 7-Eleven. They still do that? They still give out free Slurpees on 7-Eleven? No, I don't watch market internals. The three main ones was like ticks. I'm forgetting the other ones off the top of my head. But no, I don't watch them. The high day, low day one. Nasdaq dragging the market down. Look at NQ here. Let's keep an eye on NQ because I want to show you what I mean by protecting nodes. So this cluster here obviously being protected. Keep an eye on that. You can see the candle is very aggressive because they're not allowing any buyers to build up any kind of pressure on that move down. Losing a major support here on Nasdaq, losing 853. There's realistically not a lot of support until we get back down to that POC node, which is perfect because that's what we talked about yesterday in our closing statement in Discord. I was talking about how the afternoon breakout was ridiculous. Hopefully we retrace that. That lines up with the single prints on ES as well. So there are single prints down here on ES around that afternoon breakout, anywhere from 55 to 52. We would like to see that get retraced. Pretty far away on ES, but getting pretty close on Nasdaq. Nasdaq would need around 800. I don't think there's anything else major coming out today except for the bond auction. The bond auction is at 1 p.m. A couple of Fed talks, but no major data. Bouncing off VWAP, still showing a very big discrepancy on ES and NQ here. ES is still maintaining its bullish structure. Higher lows being put in, holding VWAP. Nasdaq, pretty bearish. We'll see how it respects this node here. Bear's not doing a good job building up a node on the lower portion. There's no trapped traders down here, so that's a good thing. Okay, so far the initial reaction, they protected that node pretty much immediately. Pulled back into that node and then sold off of it. Couple of the big sellers that were dragging us down are bouncing. Nvidia showing a double bottom. Apple finally bouncing back into VWAP. Still selling on Microsoft, Google, Amazon. Facebook bouncing a little bit. They're no longer protecting this cluster, so these traders are going to get trapped if they stay above this. There's just too much bullish delta on ES. Look at the delta here. ES just does not care. It had plus 50,000 delta yesterday. It's already at plus 15K. You don't see a lot of trapped traders on this lower wick here. But you will trap this cluster here if it stays above 55. Let's go back to ES, because ES looks pretty interesting here. I think ES wants to retest this 96 to 97 cluster. And like I said in the video, I'm just calling it a cluster instead of a node, so you guys know what I'm referring to. When I say cluster, I'm referring to delta. When I say node, I'm referring to the volume profile. They're the same thing. But just so you understand what I'm referring to. Also, I didn't show Nasdaq in my video, but if you guys want to match my Nasdaq chart, it's the same exact chart as ES, but you need to go to the top right. It's next to the camera. If you click this button here, you can adjust your scale. I don't like looking at every single tick on Nasdaq. It's just way too wide. So I look at every single point. So I put in 4 here, which makes it every point. So every single one of all these levels here, they're not ticks, they're points. But as you guys know, if you trade Nasdaq, a point on Nasdaq is pretty much a tick. it doesn't really respect its ticks as much as ES does. So strong close on this 30-minute candle. They did put in a small cluster of bullish delta on the high, but look at that fall off. Really big fall off on volume. So they need to protect this pullback immediately. This goes back to what I talked about on that video yesterday. There is a lot of bearish delta coming in here, but it's not breaking anything, so who cares, right? It doesn't matter. It's not breaking any structure, it's not breaking any major levels. As long as it holds on to this bullish cluster right here, which is you can see it's supported by a 1400 contract delta, then it's still bullish. Like I said earlier, I think it wants to retest this bullish cluster right here. It wants to retest 96 to 98. ES is dragging the market up as well. They're pulling Nasdaq higher. There's not a lot of absorption going on here unless you mean like the bears being absorbed here. But even there, it's not a whole lot of delta. The delta is so high right now. Normally, I would say that like 100, 200, 300, those are pretty good levels. Today, those are not high. Relatively speaking, look at these nodes. 800, 600, 500. This one had 1400. There is a lot of delta flooding in today. If they continue like this, they might even break the delta number of yesterday. They closed at plus 50,000. Like I said, probably the highest number I can remember in one single day. At least in recent history. We're used to seeing like around 20 to 30K on the close, either positive or negative. That's a pretty standard number. They almost tripled that. Which the reversal trader in me wants to say that that's extremely dangerous. And that's a lot of delta that you can easily trap. And if we ever needed something to start a cascading failure, that would be it. The largest bullish delta day we've seen in years. That'd be a beautiful start to a cascading short squeeze or a long squeeze. But we can't trade off what we want to happen, right? We need to watch what is actually happening. I think the market is a little high. I would like to see it pull back, especially to those rollover gaps, but we can't. Open praying is not a trading strategy, right? This is really annoying to look at. The difference in NQ and ES here. Extremely frustrating. The market's a lot smoother when they move together. Yeah, that's funny, Lewis. Yeah. I'll try not to be too bearish. Here's that node at 96. It's being front ran a little bit. So they are protecting it. They're protecting it a little early. Yeah, I agree, Paul. It's a crazy disparity. Every index is doing their own thing today. Russell was up like 2% earlier. Yeah, there is a lot of shit going on in Japan right now, which is a little scary because most of the macro people that I follow, they think Japan is like the first domino. If anything major ever happens in the macro market, it's Japan they're watching. Supposedly their like bonds and yields are just in shambles. I'm sorry to hear that, Tamer. Yeah, it's a rough day, man. CPI days, you know how they go, man. CPI days are very unpredictable. They're high volatility, high ATR. Right now, the bias on ES is bullish. Well, it was bullish into this node. They are protecting this node bearishly. But right now, we're not seeing a whole lot of bearish momentum. This node was the target for the bulls, and they hit it almost to the exact tick. So they are safe to go down now. They hit their target. Nasdaq is kind of dragging them lower. You can see Nasdaq, it blew through this node here, but it is protecting this one right here. Starting to get pretty bearish again. You can see that delta flooding in here. Yeah, I think yesterday it was definitely a short squeeze day. You don't see that much delta on a normal trading day. They were definitely squeezing out a lot of shorts, which is very typical on all-time high, right? People have a lot of sell orders up there. If they are, if they're selling, they have buy orders higher, right? So think about if you're selling all-time high, what do? You put your stop loss higher, which your stop loss is a buy order. So if price is ripping like that and the delta is just getting more bullish and more bullish and more bullish, it's because they're destroying those sell orders. They're hitting the sell orders, starting the trade, and then continuing higher, and they're cascading the sellers out. And limit sellers, right? Limit sellers do not show up on the delta because the delta are the aggressive traders. So people who are limit selling the all-time high, they're not going to greatly impact that delta, which also helps the delta go up, right? Because you need those aggressive sellers to push that delta down. Okay, they are failing that node to the absolute tick. They are protecting that CPI node. Yeah, Brian, it's definitely it's a lot harder to trade when the two major indexes are not following each other. Okay, so earlier when we were down here, I told you the market wanted to kind of retest that node. That has happened. It wasn't the cleanest. They didn't actually go through the node, But they tested that node to the absolute tick, and now they're selling. So the market is kind of agreeing with me here. It wanted to retest the CPI node. It retested it. Now it's safe to go down. And it's being dragged down by ES, or Nasdaq, I mean. I'm not sure what this is. I'll delete that. Getting pretty bearish on NQ here. You can see they're just flooding bearish orders. You didn't have a blow off, right? You didn't have that explosion in volume that you typically see on a sharp reversal on a V-shaped bottom. You didn't see a major trap. You didn't see a major blow off in delta or volume. So yes, they bounced, but they bounced back into VWAP. As you guys know, we talk about it every day. Nasdaq loves to do this pattern. It loves to bear flag into VWAP. So bear flagging into VWAP here and then selling immediately. Okay, so far that node to the absolute tick, selling 10 points here. So hopefully you guys watched that video yesterday. This is a prime example of what we covered. What level are you referring to, Derek? Are you talking about ES? I think you're referring to that level right there. So yes, that would have been the level to watch because that was this area right here was kind of the bullish cluster. So when it started to sell, you're looking for that level. Look at the bearish delta coming in there. They have completely flipped it. There's a bearish cluster breaking that support. So now we're very clearly in a bearish initiative candle. Look at the delta. Delta's completely letting go. They retested that node. They've dropped 5,000 delta since that node. Sorry, I wanted to add a little delta indicator because we don't have the stats on the bottom, so I wanted to show you how much delta are on these candles. So that candle's minus 6K already. That's a huge candle. Do you mean why do I think it wanted to retest that level, Derek? Why did I think it wanted to go up? Or why did I think it was going down afterwards? Both? Well, the reason I thought it was going to go up is if you look at the volume profile there, you have nothing stopping you from going up, right? There's no value here. So we know that there's a lot of action in this area here because we can see the delta cluster, we can see the volume. We know that that's the news candle. The news candle attracts a lot of traders, right? So you think of that as like a magnet. So price kept signaling that it wanted to go higher. It just kept testing higher prices, just barely by a few ticks here and there. So you kind of have to ask yourself, where is it going? Where does it want to go? And that's the only major target there. There's nothing in between. And then why did it go down? You can see right there, it did not tick through that node. So they told you earlier by putting all that bullish delta there that they liked that level, but then they lost it. So if you have a lot of bullish delta on an area and then you lose it, they're kind of trapped, right? They're being trapped by the sellers. So if it goes back to retest that level, the sellers should be protecting it. So we were expecting it to trade inside of that node and then fail. But that node was so strong, it literally ticked it to the absolute tick and then sold. So it's just sell pressure protecting that node. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's down 20 points after hitting that node to the absolute tick. I mean, it can't get better than that. You're down 10,000 delta off of that node. That is a pure trap. They trapped all those buyers and they're squeezing them out. Nasdaq not letting up whatsoever. Very strong move down. Look at the clusters. Look at the nodes on the way down. Yeah, Lewis, I hate to say it, but this is almost exactly what I was talking about. There's so much delta up here that if they wanted to cascade this downward, it is very, very easy. ES is looking for mid-50s. 55 would be the main target. That would repair the single prints. It would repair the afternoon breakout. It would give the market a much-needed correction as well. Holding below 75 is retracing yesterday into 38. How red is the stock market today? Still pretty green for the most part. Big companies are red. Smaller sectors are pretty green. How's Russell holding up? Look at Russell. Here's a rotation for you. Russell up 2.8% while Nasdaq's down 1%. $10,000 negative delta on this 30-minute candle. That is a hell of a move. All from an absolutely ridiculous top, a single tick failure. Nasdaq targets to the downside, probably 0. Let me see. Value retrace on Nasdaq is complete, so it's actually safe to go back up now. They completed the move into 700. If it does continue to hold below 700, 96 to be exact, there is an incomplete auction from last week. Or actually, is that this week? From this week, from Monday. They're looking for 600. 600 is the obvious target. That is a nasty retrace. Finished the retrace in one candle. We still have a long way down on ES, so if ES continues to retrace, there's no bouncing on Nasdaq. Nasdaq's going to get dragged down. Okay, if you guys somehow caught that trade and you're still holding it, which is pretty hard, that's a 30-point trade already. But if you're still holding it, as I talked about in the video, don't let the buy pressure scare you unless it's breaking something, right? If it's not breaking a major node, then who cares? There's a major node here. There's a major node here, which would be a pretty nasty bounce. That's a 10-point bounce. Keep an eye on all of our trending indicators. You could even throw on the ADMA here because it's so aggressive. So you can watch the 8, you can watch the 24, you can watch the bots, you can watch the nodes. There's many things to keep you in this trade here. How's the dollar doing? Dollar shooting up a little bit, but it's not back to pre-CPI. This is what I would call riding the band on VWAP, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the 1-minute VWAP bands. You can see this lower band, this white line right here. It's probably hard to see on stream, but it's right here. You're riding that band. You're just staying on that band, meaning they have the volume, they have the momentum to continue this. It's a little bit extended is not the right word. It's a little scary, I guess, to maintain a trend like this. It's a little hard to do. But right now, they do have the volume. As long as they're not too far outside of that band, they're okay. Nasty sell-off on the tech stocks, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Nvidia. Watch this 5-minute close. It is going to generate a shit ton of single prints all the way back to 82. They are absorbing a bit of delta here. There's a lot of bearish delta on this low, and they're not able to push. You can see a lot of bearish delta kind of running into a wall here. You can see that absorption is leading to the strongest bounce so far. Here is the first major bearish cluster. We'll see if they protect it. This is also coming into the 30-minute close, so they know they have to repair this candle or it looks bad, right? They're trying to bounce this candle before the close to repair those single prints a little early. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot to add to this chart is a bar timer. Let me add that. There we go. Yeah, it's a 30-minute chart. Everything is bouncing. A lot of tech stocks bouncing. That absorption is definitely holding. First cluster has been broken. Second cluster is around 78. The ADMA has been broken, still holding the 24, obviously. This is that 30-minute close. They're trying to protect the 30-minute close. If you guys are enjoying the stream, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. If you guys didn't already, be sure to check out that video I released yesterday. I cover pretty much everything we talked about on stream today. Hopefully, for those of you who watched the video, it helped you stay on the right side of this. That is a nasty candle, man. Minus 10K. What you're seeing right now is a combination of a couple things. They're absorbing a lot of bearish delta. You can see the bottom was not able to push. Kind of the brick wall thing we talked about in the video. And they're trying to repair this right here. This tail is disgustingly long. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 TPOs. And they're repairing about 4 to 5 of them right now. One more minute until that 30-minute close. This is one of those patterns that they can try really hard to hide, but they just really can't do it. They struggle hiding the 30-minute closes. When you sell off right before that close, like 10, 15 minutes before the close, you typically have this consolidation for the last 5 minutes or so. All right, there's the 30-minute close. They did a really good job repairing those TPOs. There's only 4 remaining. Back into 83, which also lines up perfectly with VWAP. So keep an eye on a bounce back to 83 to repair those single prints. All right, failing the 24 here, so still maintaining that bearish trend. They did not repair all of the single prints. Not seeing a ton of delta on this candle. It's only plus 500 here. And a lot of that is stuck on the high. This is the problem with trailing, right? This bounce is still pretty bearish, but it's bounced 10 points. So pretty much anybody scalping that are maintaining trails are mostly trailed out. '24 EMA holding beautifully. Take a peep at Nasdaq here. Yeah, there's absolutely no bullish delta on that move, so it looks like a trap for now. You do see absorption on the lows, so the lows are being protected. Yeah, you see it again here. Somebody's absorbing the lows. They're not doing a great job protecting the 5-minute highs, so it seems like the volatility is a little bit too high. The volume is insanely high today, creating about a 25,000 or higher average. Hey Matthew, this is Addis. We actually have a series this week going over the entire platform. We released a video on Monday and we released a video yesterday. If you check my videos, mainly the Orderflow playlist, you'll find some videos there about them if you want to check them out. We currently have a promo code with them. It's Deja Brew 5, all one word. The number 5, not the word. Appreciate the sub, Matthew. Good morning, David. Very standard retrace to the 24 EMA. Pulled back to the 24. Mostly a profit take. You can see the delta is extremely weak. They're actually trapping a little bit of delta here. You can see the candle still has positive delta, but it's a red candle. The only thing holding them up here is there is somebody absorbing the lows. You can see there's a wall, not an actual wall, but just kind of somebody absorbing it. A lot of bearish delta trading into the same level, but not actually being able to break. We saw the same thing here. They're getting more aggressive because they absorbed the low here, and now they're absorbing the low here, which is slightly higher. I'm not sure how the basic one works, Ken. It depends on if you're coming from my affiliate. Did you use my affiliate for the year? Because we have a special promotion with that. I don't know how the normal one works. If you're one of my members, they give you, I think it's around 200 euros. They give you about a 200 euro discount on the lifetime. Gotcha, Ken. Yeah, so I don't know how their normal promotion works. But for my students, it's 200. Somewhere around 200. I don't know the exact number. And for anybody in here, in order to get that discount, you basically just sign up for free using the affiliate link that I always post in chat, and then just email me whatever your email is that you signed up with, and I'll get you guys added to that promotion. Basically, how that promotion works is they offer you, based on which tier you buy, you get free stuff. So if you buy like, I think it's like the quarterly, you get an extra month. If you buy the year, you get like 2 or 3 months, and then if you buy the lifetime, you get 200 euros off. Okay, they're not doing a great job absorbing the pressure here anymore. Keep an eye on this recent low. Still looking pretty bearish. Nothing has really broken. You broke one cluster here, this bearish cluster here. That's about it. This move here completely absorbed, or not absorbed, trapped, I mean. They're trapping this upper tail. Those buyers are being trapped. Pretty much most of that bounce was from the 30-minute close. They wanted to protect that 30-minute candle, which they did a very good job. There were about 10 single prints before the repair. There are only 3 single prints remaining. You can see that absorption still happening here. Somebody is protecting that low. There actually is a wall there. So it's not just absorption. There is a literal wall there. Yeah, there you go. So that wall has broke. That wall was about 4,000 to 5,000 contracts. So funny enough, you could actually see that that was a wall before it was trading the actual wall because of the absorption. Andrew, I highly recommend watching my market profile video. It covers all the special terms like single prints and poor highs and poor lows. And market profile is this over here. Whenever I refer to any of those terms, it's going to be this chart over here. We have 3 single prints remaining back to 84. Yeah, we know it was a buy wall because it has to be sold into. So if you see a lot of bearish delta, you have to think about what's the other side, right? So if you see a lot of bearish delta, that means bearish market orders. Where do bearish market orders go? Bearish market orders go into bullish limit orders or just limit orders, period. And then if you see a wall that's being bought into, it's vice versa, because if you have a lot of bullish delta coming in, those are market buys. So where do market buys go? Market buys go into limit sells. Lewis, I typically recommend Mind Over Markets by Dalton. Okay, so this is pretty much exactly what we talked about in our video yesterday. Yes, there was a lot of buy pressure here, but was it breaking anything? You broke one single cluster out of what, 4 to 5 clusters, probably even more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you had about 5 to 6 clusters on this entire candle. You only broke one of them. So we know that, yes, there is some buy pressure coming in, but is it really doing a whole lot? Not really. Yeah, he does that a lot, Lewis. He doesn't teach a lot of the stuff that's in his older books, but most of the stuff is still the same. Like he doesn't teach the TPO counts. He doesn't teach the 80% rule. There's a few other things. There's still a lot to learn from those old books, Mind Over Markets especially. That still we use every single day. And as you guys can see, with today is a great example. It still works. I couldn't have asked for a better day after the video release. It couldn't have been better. Today is just proving pretty much everything that we talked about in that video. And I hate to be a broken record, but I'm just trying to help you guys out. You guys ask a lot of questions in chat that I've covered in those videos, and I think if you take the time to watch it, you'll learn a lot. We are free falling on Microsoft. Thing is not looking too good. Apple also selling off quite a bit. Which video is it? If you go to my video section, it's the most recent video. We just released it yesterday. It's the add is some order flow video. If you guys need help with your settings, watch the first video. The first video is all about settings and how to set up your charts and whatnot. The third video coming out on Friday, coming out tomorrow, is going to be about these charts, the 1 minute charts. I'll talk a little bit about this chart as well, but I've already had many videos on market profile, so that's going to be a very short excerpt from that video. Yeah, probably. It's probably looking for 55, which we talked about earlier. That would be a fantastic level to hit because it would repair so many things. It would repair the afternoon breakout. It would repair the single prints. It would give the market a much needed pullback. This is every single tick. So this chart is looking at every single tick. For Nasdaq, I'm looking at every point. You can't really look at the ticks on NQ. It's just too many. So NQ, we're looking at every point. Which is getting pretty bottom heavy here. Keep an eye on that delta. They're still trying to absorb this level. They broke through the wall, but they're still protecting it. Good morning, Tom. Not sure if I saw you earlier. Here, I'll pin that video in chat for you guys. That wall was so big that we actually shifted the POC down here. So POC is now trading on that wall at 66. We're about halfway done with the retrace. It's looking for 38. Realistically, it's looking for around 55. 55 repairs a lot of levels. Here's that incomplete auction that we talked about earlier. It's looking for 600 on Nasdaq. Look at Russell here. This is the definition of a value rotation. Growth being rotated into the smaller caps. That wall is still being protected. They're absorbing a lot of delta down here. '24 EMA being retested again. Gold and silver, like in the move today, 1.7% on gold, 2.5% on silver. Oil is up a little over half. The yields are crumbling today, down 2.5%. Tomorrow is a big day for banking earnings. A couple of big banks reporting tomorrow. A lot of them reporting next week. Which banks are reporting tomorrow? I think it's JP Morgan and Bank of America. Let me see. JP Morgan's one of them. Wells Fargo. JP Morgan and Wells Fargo are tomorrow. The rest of the banks are next week. Actually, Citigroup is tomorrow as well. American Express, Bank of America, Discover, and Capital One are all next week. Actually, Capital One is the week after, so Capital One's a little bit later. The reason those banks are so important to watch, you don't care about the bank itself. you care about the earnings report. Because banking earnings reports give you a very good outlook on consumer spending. They have to report their debt percentages, their delinquency percentages, spending numbers, saving numbers, all that stuff. If they're holding a lot of real estate, which JP Morgan is, I think, one of the largest real estate holders for those banks. They talk about the delinquency rates in real estate, yada, yada. The big number we're looking at is the charge-off, right? Credit card charge-off rates. We've been talking about that for a few months now. I'll probably make a write-up. I'll post all the data that I can find when they release their earnings next week. Okay, that 55 level we were looking for is pretty much here. A couple more points. This is repairing a lot of problems. Here's the incomplete auction coming up on Nasdaq as well. Shows you how strong these auctions are. We haven't seen one in a little bit. They were happening quite often. Took a little break. We just formed one a couple days ago, and look at it. Look at this sell-off right back to that level. Retrace is about halfway complete. Be careful with this retrace because they could be looking for the 55 level, which is only about halfway complete with the entire retrace. So if we bounce a little early, that's probably why. If it's looking for the entire retrace, it's looking for 38, which once again, be careful. The POC node is around 45. So there is a decent amount of support on the way back down to 38. Another huge delta candle here, minus 5,000 almost. Starting to show a small bull div on momentum. You're not moving very quickly here. We'll see if it actually forms. It's not fully formed yet. Here comes that 55 level. Absolute beautiful retrace here. This all started from that single tick failure of that cluster. There was that CPI cluster. Single tick failure at 96. You're down 40 points off of that single tick failure. That is pretty exceptional. They are seriously running out of steam here. There is no delta below 64. Very easy to bounce here. Be careful. Couple more single prints back to 64. Exactly same level I just mentioned. Let me take a look at the single prints. Did we repair them? They need a couple more points. One more push down will repair those single prints of yesterday. We do have a poor low. The market doesn't really care about the poor lows and poor highs right now. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Yeah, Tom, there's not much to show. Exactly what I showed earlier is pretty much it. There was a bullish cluster from the CPI data. It wanted to retest that level. It retested it to the absolute tick and then sold. They need one more push down here to repair those single prints. We'll see, based on how much buy pressure comes in around the mid 50s, is it only looking to repair that level or is it going all the way back down to 38? Okay, there it is. There's 55. That is repairing a lot of levels. And immediately seeing a little bit of buy pressure here. We'll see if it can actually hold. Here's the 600 level we just talked about on Nasdaq. There's the 600 level. Incomplete auction has been repaired. And I believe that finishes our trade plan on Nasdaq. That does complete our trade plan on Nasdaq. So if you guys would like some extended targets, let me see here. Extended targets would be 580, which is already almost hit. And then realistically, not a major target until we get down to 466. That would complete the retrace of last Friday. For the ES traders, we have not finished our trade plan completely. The 55 level has been hit. The extension of the trade plan would be 38. Basically, bears are not threatened here until they completely get trapped back above that level. Notice how the 24 EMA has not been broken since we started this nasty sell-off. The bots are all still holding sell signals. The VWAP is still kind of riding that lower band. OTS trail giving multiple sell signals as well. So pretty much every single trailing indicator is still bearish. They're doing what they did earlier, where they're absorbing a decent amount of bearish delta on that low there. They might be trying to bounce into those single prints back into what, 62? This tail is very easy to retrace back to 62. There's not really a whole lot of sell pressure until 65. All right, there you go. There's the bounce back to 62. A decent little 4 to 8 point bounce. Keep an eye on 65 to 66. Here is that original wall coming up. This is what I talked about with the tail. You can see how weak this tail is. Very easy to retrace, as they're proving right here. Same exact thing happening on Nasdaq. So they're actually following each other now. Keep an eye on this cluster right here around 650. Nasdaq is safe to go back up. It did hit that 600 target. Okay, very important pullback here. Are they going to protect this original buy wall that is now very clearly bearish? Hey, Tamer, no worries, man. Not looking great for the buyers. They're failing that wall to the absolute tick. We'll see if they can continue to build this node. There is a small node at 63 they're trying to build. You mean the sell-off tamer or the bounce back? Failing that wall to the absolute tick. Trapping quite a bit of buyers here. Notice how they filled in the single prints. They left a few open around 82, but they filled in the recent ones. Pretty hard to doubt order flow after a day like this. These levels are literally failing to the absolute ticks. That's a 10-point sell-off. Doesn't look like a 10-point sell-off. It was really quick. But that's a 10-point sell-off from that wall there. Those sellers are very clearly protecting that old absorption. This is a very dangerous candle for the buyers to lose. They really do not want to see a lot of delta below 55 because they put in a lot of bullish delta here, about 2,000 to 3,000. Yeah, it's probably the pessimist in me, but it sucks when we have a day like this, because when you have a day like this where it's absolutely textbook, it does everything that you expect it to do. It follows your levels like to a T. Typically after that, it gets pretty choppy. So we'll see what happens on Friday and next week, but definitely a little scary. The market doesn't like to be this obvious all the time. That's why when you have days like this, you need to make your money, right? Take your crumbs, get as many crumbs as you can. Today is also one of those days where if you did follow all these signals in the morning and you made pretty good money, probably just want to log off, to be honest. If the market was this clean in the morning and you made a good amount of money, there's no point in trading every single move up until the close. You don't know if it's going to be this clean for the entire day. As I said earlier, the buyers are not in control until they reclaim that wall, right? So any of this buy pressure here, yes, it's a pretty big range, about a 10-point range. But any buy pressure here doesn't really mean a whole lot. They're not breaking anything. And they're actually putting themselves in a lot of danger. Look at where the candle is. It's right on the low. They're building a lowercase b candle. If they close this below 55, it's not looking pretty good. It's not looking good for them, right? Very possible to get a small squeeze. This is that small bull div that I was talking about earlier. There's a bull div in momentum, not in delta. The sellers are losing momentum a little bit, but that's kind of by design here. They're kind of trapping the buyers. They're kind of luring them into a trap. Yeah, Chris, today will be very telling because if we can close very strong on the daily candle bearishly, like I said earlier, there was over 50,000 bullish delta yesterday. We're only down. We're not even down. We're barely negative today. They're just giving away the delta they put in today. So we have a pretty large opportunity for a cascading failure. There is a lot of delta to get rid of if they want to. $50K positive yesterday. What was the high today? The high was $15K. So we're talking about 65K delta in the last 2 days. And we've only lost the 15K from today. Which you can't think about delta as a one-to-one like that. Because yes, obviously a lot of that delta could be closing. But just generally speaking, when you have that much delta, you have an opportunity to squeeze a lot of it. Like we could see a negative 20, a negative 30K day pretty easily. It does, Paul. My delta resets. My delta starts at 0. Oh, you're saying should you not reset it? You're saying should you just let it run? I don't think so. I think you still really want to pay attention to the delta for the day. But you want to look at the closes. You want to watch the delta closes. Like you want to see how positive or negative you're closing to give you kind of an idea of who's in danger of being squeezed. The problem is you're always going to have those people that argue that you can't look at delta like that because you don't know how many of those contracts are opening orders or closing orders. Are they hedging? Yada, yada, yada. which is something that I always talk about on stream. I don't care, right? I don't care to think about it that hard. I don't look into the open interest. I don't look into the COT. Okay, this is the danger that I was just talking about. Keep an eye on this candle close. We have 8 minutes until this candle closes. These buyers are in danger here. Our 55 target has been hit. The couple targets remaining would be the POC of yesterday and the Valeria low of yesterday, which is around 38. Nasdaq has completely finished our trade plan. Extended target would be right here, and then 466. That was a beautiful repair of the incomplete auction down to 600. Wow, look at how green. This is very interesting to look at. The market is free falling right now, and look at how green the stock market actually is. Today is pretty much a prime example of how much power the bigger companies, the larger companies, have on ES. Look at how green the smaller sectors are. They are literally all green. And then these large companies just completely dragging the market down. Who knows? This might be the start of the rotation that everyone's been talking about. All the Russell people and pretty much everybody that talks about macro levels has been talking about a much needed rotation. Today could be a one-off. Today could be the start of that rotation. We'll see. Yeah, that's kind of why I don't watch internals, right? Internals they can be very misleading. Internals have their purpose. But for most of the stuff, like if you guys are trading like I do, kind of just day trading, scalping, futures, there's really no need to watch internals, to be honest. This is that squeeze I was talking about. So all of these trapped buyers are now being squeezed out. Honestly, I think today was so clean as far as order flow goes, I might just save this stream and put it in the order flow playlist. I don't think it gets much cleaner than this. This is probably one of the cleanest examples of using order flow we've probably ever had on stream. Yeah, to the tick. There is a poor low, which will probably get repaired. But the market has not cared about poor levels for a few months now. They've been putting in a lot of poor highs, a lot of poor lows, not repairing them. The market does care about single prints, as we can see today. It put in its first single prints. We talked about this in Discord yesterday. Those were the first single prints that have been open for, what, 2 to 3 weeks? And they just got repaired very easily. So single prints, very high on the radar right now. But the poor levels are not. Yeah, John, it's definitely you can see that it's a rotation day when gold and silver and the commodities are doing really well. The smaller caps are doing really well. What's crazy about today is the PCCE, the put to call ratio, is not that outlandish. It's really not that far from normal. It is pretty much at its normal level. Starting to get a little bit extended on this low here. It might be due for a bounce. If it reclaims this cluster here, there's not much stopping it from bouncing back into 55, which also is about to be a bunch of single prints. So in a few minutes here, in 1 minute to be exact, there will be a reason to go back to 53 to 55. Yeah, Chris, you would expect it to be on one of the extremes. Either very high or very low. In this case, because we're coming down a lot, you would expect it to be very low. Meaning there were a ton of calls compared to how many puts there were, leading to a potential squeeze. Hey, Nico, welcome to the channel. It's just too much to cover, man. I'm about to end the stream actually as well. I highly recommend watching my videos on my channel. I go over every single concept that I discuss on stream, especially what we're discussing today. I just made a video yesterday. I recommend checking that out. But yeah, if you just watch the streams a couple days, you'll get the hang of what I'm talking about. I talk about the same things every single day. I can answer little questions here and there, but it's years and years worth of content, right? I can't pack that all into a few sentences. I get there's probably a lot of new people in here that are eager to learn, but my answer is the same for all of you. You're trying to learn years worth of content as quickly as possible, which I understand. But take the time and watch my videos. It will definitely help you out. If you guys are into futures trading, watch my playbook series. If you want to learn exact setups. If you guys are into order flow, watch my order flow series. If you guys are into volume profile, watch my volume profile series. Like I said, there's coming up on 10 years worth of content. So it's a lot of stuff. We're going to be at that 10-year mark pretty soon. Well, we got a couple years left. Yeah, we have single prints going into 82, I believe it is. 82, 84, somewhere around there. Keep an eye on this move. If they absorb a lot of bearish delta here, there's not really anything stopping it from retracing this weak cluster. This cluster here is extremely weak, which also lines up with those single prints. So if you see absorption here, they're trying to bounce it back into 54. It's the exact thing we just saw right here. So this tail was very weak. This cluster was very weak. They put in single prints. They bounced it into that wall, literally failed that wall to the tick. It's trying to do the same exact thing here. If you guys are coming in late to this stream, I cannot stress enough going back and watching this stream. We covered a lot of stuff today. I talked about a lot of levels and kind of how we thought price was going to react to those levels. And price has been pretty much textbook today. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah, I highly recommend going back and watching the stream. I am probably going to edit this stream, to be honest, and just save this into the Orderflow playlist because it was that clean. Today couldn't have been any better, to be honest. Yeah, Derek, I honestly, I'm kind of shocked that we made that video yesterday and then we get a day like today. It couldn't have gone better, to be honest. But all right, on that note, guys, I'm going to end it there. I think we've covered more than enough today. I appreciate you guys being here. As I said, I'm probably going to edit this stream sometime this weekend or something, sometime in the next week or so. I'll cut out all the downtime and I'll just post this in the Orderflow playlist. What's today? 7-11 is actually easy to remember. It's Slurpee Day. So we'll come back, we'll edit this stream, and I'll put it in that playlist. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, be sure to check out that pinned message in chat. That's the video covering exactly how to read these charts. Definitely go back and watch that. Even if you guys watched it yesterday, go back and watch it again because it's going to cover exactly what we talked about during today's live stream. But all right, guys, with that, I'm going to call it. I appreciate you all being here. Hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. If you guys are in Discord, I'll be hanging out for the rest of the day in Discord. Just go to the trading floor. By the way, if you guys are Discord members, we have been streaming in Discord recently. So if you guys want to watch my charts throughout the day, just go to the trading floor, click on my click on my profile. It will say I'm live, and you guys will be able to see the stream until the close. But all right, guys, that's all I got. I appreciate you being here. Here's the links to our partners if you guys want to check them out. We're partnered up with Apex and Addis. Apex extended their sale. They're doing 80% off for the rest of the month. And Addis has a promotion going on with us. If you want to use my code, here's the code. Deja Brew 5. Give you a little discount on signing up. But all right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time as always, 9:30 in the morning. If you guys are in the Discord, I'll see you guys there. Peace, everybody.